Hi class, hopefully you are all doing well. Hopefully you are taking care of yourself and your family. This is lesson 14.1, which is on square roots. One of the things that we're going to talk about on square roots are multiplying things by itself. So in this beginning, you can see we've got some problems here. 12 times 12, 144. 9 times 9, 81. 18 times 18, 324. We can also do the same thing with decimals. 1 and 6 tenths times 1 and 6 tenths, 2 and 56 hundredths. 2.5 times 2.5 is 6 and 25 hundredths. We can also do it with fractions. 2/3 times 2/3, again, is 4/9. So one of the things that we will be working on today is our essential question. How can we find the dimensions of a square or a circle when you're given its area? So remember, in a square, it is length times width, but in a square, they're the same size anyway. So basically, we're going to be talking about square roots today. Basically, what we're working on today is finding square roots of a number. A square root is something times itself will equal whatever we're trying to find. In this case, 49. So we need two numbers that multiply together to equal 49. So we have 2 right here because 7 times 7 is 49. And we can also find the negatives. So we can have -7 times -7 is also 49. So our square roots of 49 are 7 and -7. You may also see it written plus or minus 7. Because that means the same thing. You will notice 3 different kinds of problems on this page. In our first one, we just have the square root of 25. Since there is nothing like this, we will assume that this one is positive. So since we're looking for the square root of 25, 5 times 5 is 25, so our answer is 25. In this one, you will see the negative outside of the square root sign. Because this is the case, we will take the square root of this. We will get -3/4. It's negative because it is a negative out front. This is positive because there is no negative out front. In this one, we will count both of them. So it will be positive and negative. And what we will do is we will find 1.5 times 1.5 and -1.5 times -1.5. So in the first 3 examples of this page, it says find the 2 square roots of the number. So we know that there will be a positive and a negative on each of these. So this first one, plus and minus 6, second one, plus and minus 10, third one, plus and minus 11. Notice down here it's a little bit different. It's a negative, so they have the -1. It's both, so 2 times 2 is 4, 5 times 5 is that, so we've got plus and minus. Since there is nothing out in front of this, it is going to be positive, and we can guess 3.5 times 3.5 is 12 and 25 hundredths. Let's see if we can complete this matching activity. Match each square root with the correct answer. Now, you will notice that these are all going to be positive, and these are all positive. What times itself will equal 1600? Hopefully you were able to come up with D. What times itself is going to be 400? Hopefully you can come up with 20 times 20. A, 12 times 12 is 144, and C, 6 times 6 is 36. These are some problems that you may see. Find the dimensions of a square or circle. Check your answer. So we know that side times a side has to equal 81 square inches. So what times itself equals 81? We got 9. In this one, our answer is going to be tied to the area formula for a circle. And area of a circle is pi r squared. So we are going to be able to divide this by pi, so r times r has to equal 169. So in this case, r is 13 centimeters. Down here, this is a little tricky because it's pi yards. When we divide both by pi, because it's pi r squared equals pi yards squared, we divide by pi, we get 1 left. So what times itself is 1? Our answer is 1. A side times a side is going to equal 2 and 25/100ths. We will get 1.5 meters. These are examples of things that you should be able to do now that you know square roots. Our next thing that we sometimes have to do is evaluate each expression. So you can see in the first one, we have 5 times the square root of 36. Any number out in front of the square root means multiply. So 5 times the square root of 36 plus 7. We know that the square root of 36 is 6, so we get 5 times 6 plus 7. That will give us 30 plus 7, or 37. In this one of the things that you should be able to do is you should be able to look at this like 1/4 plus the square root of 18 over 2. I know that the 18 divided by 2 is 9, and that is a perfect square. So we can take 1/4 plus the square root of 9, which is 3. When we add those together, we get 3 1/4. We can also do this one evaluating the power using inverse operations. So we've got the square root of 81 squared. So if you think about that, the square root of 81 is 9. 9 squared is 81. So 81 minus 5 will give us 76. So again, we took the square root first. We got 9. We squared that. 9 times 9 is the 81. And then we subtracted our 5. Hopefully you're able to do these kinds of problems. 12 minus 3 times the square root of 25. So this is 3 times 5. So we got 12 minus 3 times 5, which is 15, which will give us -3. 28 divided by 7 is 4. The square root of 4 is 2 plus 2.4 gives us 4.4. And in this one, we've got the square root of 4, which is 2 squared, which will give us 4 again, which is our answer of 11. So 15 minus the square root of 4 squared. Anytime you have the square root of something squared, it will be whatever is in that symbol. We'll come back to this one in a second. In our application problem, the area of a crop circle is 45,216 square feet. What's the radius of the crop circle? Use 3.14 for pi. So they've given us plenty of information. So here's the formula for area. Area equals pi r squared. Now we can substitute in. Since we know that the area is this, we substitute that in here. We said to use pi for 3.14 times r squared. We want to get r squared all by itself, so we must divide by 3.14, which gives us 14,400. Now we need to know what times itself is 14,400. So we take the square root of r squared, which is r. We take the square root of 14,400, which is 120. Our answer is the radius is about 120 feet. You can see the same kind of problem here. The area of the circle is 2,826 square feet. We can do the same thing that we just did on that last problem. So we would say 2,826 square feet equals 3.14 times r squared, and we will get about 30 feet. The last thing I want to share with you about square roots is we've done this problem right here where we said 28 divided by 7 is 4. The square root of 4 is 2. The other way that I can do this is I can say that this is the square root of 9, which is 3, over the square root of 100, which is 10. So our answer could be 3/10 as well. So again, when we're finding square roots, again, it could be positive or negative if there is asking for 2 square roots. If there is nothing outside of the square root sign, you will put just the positive. If there is a negative outside the square root sign, you will have a negative square root, and if there's a plus or minus, you will have both. Again, I would try to do the practice page and check your answers. I also have a iReady lesson on square roots and cubed roots. So after you get done with lesson 14.2 on cubed roots, you could do that. Again, shoot me emails with anything that you have questions on. Take care of yourself and have a great day.